up, FA Nation? It's Matt Selz here. I'm obviously leading off this podcast, so what does that mean? It means we get in the guest chair Edward Rouse. He's back joining us for the start of the playoffs. So how's it going there, Rouse?
Well. My blood pressure is still really high from Sunday afternoon. Uh, that was interesting over this last weekend. Let me just tell you that. And no words. I was like during the whole rain break, which is kind of bizarre to see all the trucks leaving of the cars that are out.
Right. Yeah,
And
like
I'm like,
18 people packed up and left.
who's left in this? But good old Ryan Blaney and his duct taped car somehow managed to stay out of everything by crashing early and qualify for the playoffs. So I was pretty happy with that. There was a little bit of pacing going on at the end and some celebrating at the end. And I do like Truex a lot, and I felt kind of bad because I do like him as a person and a racer. But it was exciting. It was interesting. It was rainy. It was like NASCAR got what they wanted with having Daytona as the last race of the regular season before the playoffs, let me tell you.
Yep, I will say I am glad that they finished it and they made it come down to the last 22 actual green flag laps of the regular season and made Austin Dillon hold on to that lead.
Yeah,
That
and
was
he
a
did.
crazy
Yeah.
21 laps. Kudos to Tyler Reddick for pushing his current teammate, to the win. Um, obviously Reddick is leaving for 23-11, likely in 2024. Maybe they buy him out and he goes there in 2023 because there might be a seat open. We'll touch on that in a minute. Um, but now the playoffs start with Darlington, and it's been a little bit since we've raced at Darlington, so we'll talk about the track a little bit here. Um, it's got about 16 different nicknames. It's known as the track too tough to tame, the lady in black, cars get Darlington stripes. It's known as the egg, the track in the South Carolina swampland. Um,
the not quite 1.5 mile egg.
yeah, there you go. It's 1.33 miles per
Something like
lap, and it is egg shaped. So one end of it is a tighter radius than the other because of a pond that they couldn't move when they built the track that no longer exists, and they didn't change the track shape, which is kind of cool. It is a very high tire wear track. It's right up there with Fontana, and what Atlanta used to be. And to a degree, like Homestead kind of fits this mold too. So we will see tire strategy play a role here. You will have to make the tires last if you want to carry speed. And there's been multiple groups of racing here over the last couple years, so that should be fun. It also is a place where tensions can get very, very high. If you can't pass somebody, sometimes it's easier just to move them, like Joey Logano did back in May when he ran over William Byron with 2 laps to go. So it's kind of it's a driver's track. Driver that can handle the car and keep the car up front has a pretty good shot at winning here. So um, it's a very interesting one for DFS.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I'm just looking at the May race right now and the starting position versus the final. And there's very interesting. Three of the top five guys started 29th or worse in the race, which is interesting. And just going down the list here, I know there was quite a few accidents, but it's gonna be a week where you could pay down to get two paid down guys, maybe to get some top guys in. Um, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's the pricing has come out, and it's very, very interesting at how they're pricing this field.
Yeah.
There is some rain in the forecast on Saturday,
Of
um,
course there is.
so I'm desperately hoping that either avoids the track or just avoids practice and qualifying because I would hate for the first playoff race the field to be set by formula because that would
No.
automatically put the playoff guys up front, and I don't think anybody really wants to see that. I want to see how they actually qualify, and then make judgments on off of
Agreed.
that. So
Agreed.
Sunday looks clean, which is good. It is a late Sunday evening race. It's 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So, um, don't go ask Bob Pockris if they have lights. They do. Obviously, they do. They're not running it that late
every
if they
week.
don't.
Every week. Do they have lights?
Yeah, exactly. It is the Southern 500, so it's a crown jewel race. It's also 100 miles longer than the Goodyear 400 that was there earlier this year. Um, so, that's going to add another level to this too in terms of strategy and not like we can't really just take what we saw in May and say, well, that's the only race in a next gen car on this track. So let's just use that. Um, what I would suggest is you go back and you look at what happened in 2016, 2017, and 2018, and then again 2019. 2020 and 2021 also had kind of um, low downforce, high horsepower packages. Um, I'd be careful of the back-to-back races in 2020 because they restarted the season at Darlington during COVID, and there was no qualifying, so they were all set by formulas. And the second of those races, they inverted the top 20. So I really wouldn't look at that race at all for what happened. It was also fairly short. So, I would go back and look at those tracks if we're prepping for this race.
Yeah, it's probably a smart idea to go back longer than May.
Yes.
Although May was an interesting race, but yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. History for some of these guys, I'm looking through it right now that I was high on before we started talking. Before this, I'm kind of going down on a little bit now, but one guy in particular. But
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm with you. Like it's a tricky course, and like you said, passing is not a thing up until this last race in May, really, that I'm looking at. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, one thing though I will compliment the next gen car on is that the tracks that have the high tire wear seem to be ones where passing happens. If we flash back to Fontana,
Yeah.
high tire wear track, a lot of passing. That was a fantastic race. Darlington, yes, there were accidents, but you could also pass and make moves and pick lines um, and whatnot. There was not a lot of passing at Gateway. That would be the other track that's basically this same size. There was a decent amount of passing at Nashville, though, which does kind of
Yeah.
compare because it's a decently
Yeah.
high tire wear
Real,
track. Surface is a little different, but
real quick though, okay, we're at the playoffs. What's your like overall impression of the next gen car? I think it's good. Like I think it's good for NASCAR, and I've actually enjoyed it this year. I think the quality of racing, all the different winners, uh, I feel like a lot of the races were closer than they have been in the past, and like it was just a
yes.
good year. I like it, and I think it's going in the right direction.
I would say I generally like it. There are a couple of places that it can improve. One, it doesn't seem to do great at short tracks right now. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of passing at short tracks. Then again, it's not like it's easy to pass at Martinsville to begin with, right? It's
Yeah.
not like everybody starting 25th is going to move up at Martinsville. That's never the case and basically never has been. Um, we'll see what it actually looks like on Bristol concrete because
The
obviously
dirt.
saw
Yeah,
it on
yeah.
Bristol dirt. That was crazy. That's basically, by the way, um, that move that Chase Briscoe made that knocked Tyler Reddick out at the end of the Bristol dirt race and allowed Kyle Busch to win is the only reason Kyle Busch is in the playoffs.
He wouldn't
If Chase,
qualify on points. You're right. Yeah.
he wouldn't have qualified on points, and that's his only win of the
Wow.
season. And Truex would have made it over
Oh,
Kyle Busch. So
that would have made me happy too.
also, if Martin Truex Jr. hadn't wasted like the final 9 laps of Dover trying to get retaliation on Ross Chastain, he probably would have kept the 4 spots he lost and then would have made it over Ryan Blaney by a point. So, there's a whole bunch of
Yeah.
shoulda,
What
woulda,
ifs? What
coulda.
ifs? What ifs? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, But getting back to the next gen car, I would say it's yes, on the intermediates it's been fantastic, which is great because those used to be now at Texas it still sucks, but Texas sucks to begin with.
Yeah, that's just in
Um,
general.
but I would say, look, the plate races have been the plate races. That's really not going to change.
Nothing changed there. Yeah.
That's what it is. The road racing, I thought it's been great in
Mm,
certain tracks. Like Coda, I thought was great. I
yeah.
thought Watkins Glen was phenomenal. Sonoma was very hard to pass with. It
Mm,
it
yeah.
usually is a little tricky to pass there because it's tight racing lines and whatnot. Um, so overall, I would say it's moving in the right direction. I like the number of winners we've had this year. Um, and then there's some safety concerns for sure, but they'll sort those out. Um, I overall though, it's been a very good product. There's been a whole lot of high percentage yes races on the Jeff Gluck poll every
Mm.
week for whatever we want to count that for. Although apparently Daytona sucked last week, according to that poll. It was like one of the worst plate races ever in the history of that poll for some reason. I don't know. I thought it was pretty good, but
Who won that race? The Rain or Austin Dillon?
I would say Austin Dillon because
Oh,
they
okay.
actually went out. Actually, I would say USA Network won it because
Yeah.
now the reality star got a win.
Oh
Uh,
gosh. That okay. That drove me crazy in
yes,
between that rain delay when they kept on showing his wife and like she was okay. She was celebrating like they had won.
she was doing a rain dance.
Oh come on. She
She
was
wanted the rain to
smiling.
keep.
She was like
She
yeah.
wanted the rain to keep coming so that her hubby didn't have to go back out there, and
It was annoying, and the only reason they did it because of the
it
show.
was.
If they didn't have the show, they wouldn't be eye on her every in between every commercial break and showing him on alternative. What's alternate victory lane? What?
Oh, it's inside.
Oh, okay, yeah, just sitting there like,
It's like basically like
ugh.
essentially the media center, basically. Um, and they go there if there's weather or like Justin Haley, I think, got awarded the win in the garage area in 2019. Um, but yeah, so let's turn our attention to Darlington. There was some interesting news that came out today. For those of you that haven't seen it, it involves Kurt Busch and the 45 car. And so, in an interesting twist, obviously, we know that Kurt Busch gave up his spot in the playoffs because he didn't feel he would be ready to compete. So that's why there was two spots open going into Daytona.
Thank you.
However, the owner playoffs, the 45 car still made it because it qualified for the playoffs, and the waiver doesn't affect that. It only affects the driver. So, because the 45 is in the playoffs on the owner standings, and there's money involved in that with point standings and whatnot, they are swapping Bubba Wallace from the 23 to the 45 because they want a more veteran driver to have a better shot at accruing points for the 45 car team. And that means that Ty Gibbs, who will continue to fill in for Kurt Busch for as long as he's out, will go to the 23. And then once Kurt Busch comes back, hopefully he comes back this year, he will then race in the 23. All of the sponsors from the 23 are going to the 45 and vice versa. Bubba Wallace gets to keep his crew chief and go to the 45, and the crew chief of the 45 now goes to the 23. But I believe the pit crews are staying with their original cars. So Bubba Wallace now gets the 45 pit crew, and Ty Gibbs, when he fills in, will get Bubba Wallace's pit crew. So
Why don't they just save everyone time and just take some spray paint and cross out the number and just put the
I
on
mean,
the
it's
car?
basically what they're doing because the cars are the same. They're just going to wrap them differently,
Come
but
on.
it will have a different driver on the.
Uh,
So if you're looking at the 23 and you're wondering where the heck Bubba Wallace is, he's in the 45. So my daughter, who is a big Bubba Wallace fan, I'm going to have to explain this to her doesn't
good luck.
get so she doesn't get very confused. Where's my Bubba? Like he's out there. He's just in a different car. Um, and DraftKings has Ty Gibbs listed as out this week. I don't know that to be true. I believe that the plan is that he will still be racing this week, as far as I'm aware. I will double check the entry list
I
right now.
believe that's
Um,
what Pakra said.
yeah, it's entirely possible that, well, they technically list Kurt Busch on the entry list,
They do.
but I
No,
don't.
there it is right there. Car number 23, NASCAR qualifying, right there. Right there. Ty Gibbs in the 23 car
Yeah,
in
because
Group
they
B.
had on the entry list it lists Kurt Busch
Yep.
as the 45.
Nope. He's going to be in the
But
23 officially.
okay, so that makes a lot more sense. So um you can disregard the fact that it says Ty Gibbs is out because he's not. He's in the 23 car this week. And Bubba will be in the 45 car this week for when we're watching um, qualifying and practice. So, um, so yep, that's the main news that came out this week. So with that, how about we start breaking down these drivers there?
Yeah. So is this the end of Kurt Busch, real quick?
It might be, right?
Hmm.
Because here's the thing. If you're swapping, if you've announced that Bubba Wallace is taking the 45 car for the rest of the playoffs because you want a veteran driver, that to me means that you know that Kurt Busch isn't coming back,
Hmm.
right? Because you would hold his car and you wouldn't care what the owner points are.
Yeah.
Unless, unless they want him to come back and not feel pressured to have to perform and produce high points paying races because of what's attached to the owner standings, right? You want a guy. It's like when a closer comes back in baseball and he's coming off a Tommy John, you don't go stick him right back in the ninth inning. You stick him in like the seventh inning, so it's not a high leverage situation, right?
Yeah, it
Um,
makes sense. Yep.
so I guess there's a chance, but look, he's 45. Uh, I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to replace one Bush with another Bush. I think Kyle moves to that car next year
That makes sense.
and becomes Denny's employee instead of teammate.
That ought to be fun.
But Toyota gets to keep him. He technically gets away from Gibbs. He gets to work with Michael Jordan, and then he'll take over for his brother, and that then also bides time for Tyler Reddick to stay at RCR, unless of course RCR buys him out and forces 2311's hand early, which I don't know why you would do that.
Wow. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, and I see all these pictures he's posting too. Like one of them, he's just sitting on a bench looking at the water. Like I can't drive, but I'm like contemplate. Like it's just yeah, it's
He went to the Cubs game a couple of times. I've seen because that's
yeah,
his
it's just
favorite team.
everything points that he's done. I mean, and I mean he's had a great career. It's not like he's
Yeah, he's
uh,
won a championship. He's been
yeah, it's time. Like it just seems like it. So yeah, I mean
also with the
move on.
personal
But
stuff he's going through. It might be time to you know
oh yeah,
kind
yeah.
of focus on that and kind of recenter stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot going on in the mind of Kurt Busch nowadays.
yeah. So with that, let me ask you this: who is the driver you are most excited to pay up for this week on draft?
We're just gonna skip Xfinity, right? We're not gonna do Xfinity.
No, we're
I
not
mean, that's
talking
fine.
about
Yeah.
Xfinity. Dan, look, Dan is traveling for work. He will be
Okay.
back in time to do the Xfinity playbook, so he will have you covered for that race.
Just so you know, Hamlin is not in Xfinity.
Correct.
He's
Hamlin
listed,
is
but he's not in. So don't worry about
correct.
him.
I think Christopher Bell is in that ride this
Cool.
week for Xfinity.
All right.
Hamlin's still a little sore from Sunday's accident, so. Um,
All right. Well,
but
I
who,
mean,
who are you paying up for starting 10K and above on
Chase
draft?
Elliott. I mean, why isn't he not the most expensive driver on this list? Why is Kyle Larson the most expensive driver? Chase
Because
Elliott.
Kyle Larson, statistically speaking, is better here than anybody else.
Yeah, but I look at who's been better all year, and that's Chase Elliott. At 10-7, I mean, he's who I'm paying up for. He'll probably be high owned, but I mean, he's yeah. And look at him in May. I mean, he started in the 30s and was in the top five. Um, Chase Elliott. I mean, there's
Yeah,
really no explanation except for he's the points leader. He's been hot when he's not wrecked out. He's all year, and there's no reason not to pay up for him to create value at 10-7 instead of 11-4 for Larson.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate, and I'll take Kyle Larson here. Over the last 6 races at Darlington, not including the second race in 2020, which was inverted and whatnot. Okay, over those last 6 races, Kyle Larson has the 4th best average finish of anybody, and that's after he finished 36th in May because his engine failed. The other 3 finishes in those 4 races he's run, second, second, second.
Okay, I mean that's why he's paid up, right? Or
Right.
priced up.
He
Sorry.
also started second in May, which means he had speed there because he actually qualified second, which, by the way, he also qualified second like 2 other times and started third a 4th time. So he's always got speed here. And I saw a stat this morning. I can't remember the span, but I think it's basically if you take out the major incidents of races, right? So we're not counting caution laps led. Kyle Larson has led 34.1% of laps over, I think, the last 6 races at Darlington.
Okay, well, hear me out on this. Let's say it's coming down, 5 laps to go. He's in second. Chase Elliott's in first. Half a second behind him. What does he do?
Larson will get him back.
I don't know. But after what happened a couple weeks ago, but
he's done it twice this year. It wasn't just Watkins Glen. He ran him over at Fontana too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, price wise, yeah. If you have the extra, what, $700.
I mean, sure, it makes things tight. It does. Yeah. There's no denying that.
There are some drivers I really like, and that are 6'5" and below that you could get 2 of those and mixed with Larson would be nice.
Right.
Even Elliott Larson stack. So it's not the end of the world, but Elliott's my favorite because what have you done for me lately? Larson doesn't win that race if he doesn't take out Elliott, and Elliott's been a stud for the last 2 months.
Now, here's my question. If we're talking Hendrick stacks, I would go Larson Byron. Byron's $8,900.
Okay, yeah, that's a good price for him.
And Byron has been pretty good here, historically speaking. He also, by the way, should have won in May, except for the fact that Joey Logano ran him over with 2 laps. Like, literally just put him in the wall with 2 laps to go. Didn't attempt to pass him, didn't do anything.
I like it. At 8,900, like I said, that's a great price for him, too. So
Byron also led laps at Fontana earlier this year. Until he got caught up with Tyler Reddick and a tire issue. So, Byron's looking a little bit for that mojo, but he's basically had the same speed in that car as Larson and Elliott, and yet he's 8,900.
Hey, I like it. There you go. And I mean, where do you think ownership on Byron will be? Probably low, right? I mean,
I think everybody thinks he's the sneaky play of the week, but I don't think he actually is the sneaky play of the week.
Okay.
I think he's. I'm going to guess that he's. I want to say the second highest owned Hendrick guy, but I don't know that to be true. He might be third.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I don't know that there's a scenario in which he's ahead of either Larson or Elliott. He might be close to Larson because people want the savings.
Yeah,
but I don't think I think Bowman is a distant 4th in this conversation.
Yeah. I think Bowman thinks he's a distant 4th in this conversation. He is talking about not looking good lately. Yeah, wow. I don't know. What do you do with Bowman there? 8,200.
I don't know, man. This is not. This has been an okay track for him, but not great. In the last 4 races here, he's gotten a worse finish every single time. So 4 races ago, he finished 6th.
So there's a trend.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going in the wrong direction. Right.
Okay.
He finished sixth 4 races ago, 17th 3 races ago, 26th 2 races ago, and the last race was 29th.
Oh, so I
That's
mean, she's got to get like 34th this time.
that's not the trend you want if you're.
If he crashes out first and gets last, I'm gonna laugh now that you said that. I was like, well, the trend can't go anywhere from here, right? It's like,
I mean, then again, I am known for telling you like to fade this guy, and then I think 2 years ago my fade of the week wound up winning. Yeah,
oh,
it was Kurt Busch at Vegas. I told people to fade him because he historically sucked at Vegas, his home track, and then he went out and won like in dominating fashion.
oh yeah.
So
Hey,
I
it
stopped
happens
telling
to the
people to
best of
fade
us.
people like the next week.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. So I want you to talk a bit about why you're going to play Ryan Blaney, and then I'm going to tell people why I'm not so sold on him.
Well, I mean, the reason is because I play Ryan Blaney every week, and I also bet on him every week to win. And as if anyone has known, my betting for NASCAR this year has not been good because the man has just not won. And
Well, he did. It was the All-Star race, the race you couldn't bet on.
that is also correct. The only person that won that race was not the viewer, not anybody except for Ryan Blaney and maybe his Hooters girlfriend. But that's a different
Well,
story
his
for
bank
another
account
day.
had a pretty good night.
Exactly, his bank account, yeah. But I mean, I'll throw him in some lineups because doing the research like we were talking about earlier, he hasn't. That's what we were talking about at the beginning. Spoiler alert: he hasn't been great here, and but he's been better at the, I guess if you want to bunny quote, mile and a half courses this year with the next gen car. I know he came in 17th at their qualifying 7th earlier this year. So I think for low owned for a GPP, I think he's gonna be lower owned, especially after last week when he was highly owned because of everyone thought playoff race, and he's been a stud at the super speedways. I'm taking him in GPPs. That's why I'm playing him, only because I want that ownership difference this week. But I know it'll probably fail me like my betting for him all year. Cry face.
I mean, if I'm playing like 15 lineups, I'll probably put him in one. Because my main problem is the price. $9,200 is pretty steep. It means to hit 5x, which, yes, we're talking about 5x values this week because it's basically an intermediate and you need 5x from a guy to equal the value you should be getting from him. At $9,200 on DK, 5x is 46 points.
Ah,
So
you make it
my
sound
only,
impossible.
I mean, he's done it, right? It's
Yeah, I mean,
definitely possible. He
he
did
could
it
put
at
up
Michigan.
70. Yeah, it's
He did it at Michigan 4 races ago. Okay, great.
he's either going to put
Um,
up 70 or 17. That's pretty much how this race is going to go for him.
yeah, he did it
That's
at Nashville, which is kind of a
yeah.
track that could count towards Darlington a little bit. Um, he did do it at Gateway, so there's a little bit of hope, right? But the only issue is that Ryan Blaney, this is historically his worst track. He's got one top 10 in like 11 career races here.
Double sad face.
It's not great, to be honest. It's not great, Bob, as the saying goes.
Put him in your
Um,
GPP lineups.
but he just eked out into the playoffs, right? So he could have some pressure on him to want to show that he should be here.
He's in the top 8 of points though in playoffs. Like he
I mean,
just
he
eked out
is,
into the
right?
playoffs
So,
and all of a sudden jumped from 16th to 7th because it's silly,
right.
silly.
So that's my only other thing is like there's not actually pressure on him this week
Nah,
because
yeah, you're
he's
right.
eighth in points. So he can go, okay, this track sucks for me. Great. We've got Bristol. I'm pretty good at Bristol.
Hmm.
And then we've got um there's another short track, right? Isn't it Martinsville?
I think it's
No,
Martinsville. Yeah.
Martinsville is the
No,
second to
that's
last
the
race.
second round.
Let me double check what it actually ends on because I can't. They've shuffled it every year, so I'm gonna double
For
check real
this
quick.
round, for this round,
Yeah.
next race is
Oh,
Kansas.
Kansas, which he's pretty good at.
Yeah,
Kansas,
and then Bristol
and
to
then
finish
Bristol,
off
which
with.
he's also pretty good at. So he's got two tracks he could do pretty well at, and just throw Darlington away. So I don't have that much interest in playing Ryan Blaney this week. I'm sorry there, but
No, it's no. I agree. That's why I'm throwing him some GPP lamps, I think everyone else will be on the same type of setup too. And I just like the low ownership this week. And but I mean, I'm not going to put him in, like if I'm playing 15, which I will, 3. That's all I'm saying. You say 1, I
Fair.
say 3. I want to put him at half, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So there are some very interesting prices as we go. I really don't understand why Kevin Harvick is still $8,500.
I have no idea.
I literally can't figure this out. The guy has just been great of late. Yeah, he had a terrible Daytona. Who didn't?
Well, he
Like,
tried to split the gap and missed.
right.
If he would have split that gap, he would have won. Yeah.
If he makes it through, he's deemed being the winner at the time. And if it doesn't go green, he wins the race. If it goes green, who knows? Because Austin Dillon was able to hold it off for 21.
I think I saw a meme that it was a slow motion of him trying to hit that gap, and at first it looks like he's clear, right?
Right.
And the car comes and knocks him in, and then it's just a Matumbo, no, right after.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
That's rough sauce.
But so not only has the SHR crew found speed of late, right? And Harvick's been the poster child of this, but it's been a decade, literally a decade, since Kevin Harvick has finished outside of the top 10 at Darlington.
Wow. Yeah.
Most of those are top 6 finishes, including
in May, he started like 29th or 30th,
and
right?
Fourth.
It finished 4th. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, he started 35th and finished 4th.
That price is dumb. He may be high owned, but for good reason. Wow.
It was 8,800 back in May. Started 35th and finished 4th, and now he's 8,500. 2 wins later.
Yeah, I'm liking what you're putting down there, Selz.
He's gonna be a very popular play because everybody knows that Kevin Harvick at. And by the way, you should check out the latest, the brand new video series we have called The Starting Grid. Where I basically preview early betting lines and how we can use that for DFS. You can still get plus money on a top 5 for Kevin Harvick this week at plus 200 on DraftKings.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
I'm going on there right now.
As of this morning, that was still the case. Let me see
for
if
a top 5?
For top 5.
Oh man. Go watch the starting grid because that is awesome.
Now, if you really feeling risky, you could do like a minus 140 for a top 10. Like
you might
not
if you're doing top
return.
10. If you're doing top 10 and minus 1, you might as well go for them 5. Come on.
Yeah, he's going off at 2-1, which is plus 200 on DK right now for a top 5.
Goodness gracious, that is the the lock of the week, right? On the starting grid. Jeez.
Yeah, he's 5-7, which is minus 140 for a top 10.
Top 10.
And by the way, Sportsbook's got smart, and they're not allowing you to parlay top 10 finish bets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, FanDuel wouldn't let people parlay top 10 finishes for Darlington. I saw because somebody used a $13 free bet and turned it into $1 million last week
by parlaying like 5 of the top 10 people in Daytona.
Yeah, it was like BJ McLeod, Cody Ware, Landon Castle.
Yeah, that stacked the back on your parlay, baby. I love it. All right.
Literally, the winning FanDuel DFS lineup started. Everybody starting like 34th, 35th, 36th, 37th. 38th or something.
The back on the parlay and win $1 million. That's great.
Yeah, literally on a free bet.
On a free bet. Oh man.
Or at least partial free bet. It was like $13.50 turned into $1 million, and it's at a free bet use. So I don't know if it was like
that is a lot of fun. That's cool.
And somebody else
shout out to him. Kudos.
Did a 3-leg parlay with 3 of those guys and turned $11 into like 78 grand, almost 79 grand. So yeah, FanDuel got wise, and you can no longer parlay top 10 bets on FanDuel. Also, the odds for top 10s this week not nearly as generous as they are at Daytona.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
But you know, turning our attention here a little bit more towards the midfield. I am very intrigued by Austin Dillon at $7,800.
Everyone's gonna be on him, man, just because he won last week, and the hot name. For GPPs, I probably won't play him. I just think he's going to be too highly owned. I think for a cash, you're safe with him.
Well, so to me, it's going to come down to where he qualifies.
Yeah, oh, definitely, because he has not been good recently. Like,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean,
oh man.
he has certainly struggled. But here's the thing: if people don't really, if you just go, "Oh, Austin Dillon just backed his way in because he won Daytona," okay, fair, because he wasn't anywhere close to the points, without winning. Here's the thing, though: if you take the last 6 races at Darlington, not including the inverted one in 2020, you want to guess who the top 3 average finish guys are in the field?
I'm gonna guess Austin Dillon's in there.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick at 3.5.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, right. Makes sense. Joey Logano at 9.5,
Makes sense.
only because he has a win and then top 3, like
Yeah.
4 races ago. And then Austin Dillon is third
Wow.
at 9.7. He's even better than Kyle Larson, who I was waxing poetic about earlier. Um,
Wow.
Larson has had, or Austin Dillon has had back-to-back top tens at Darlington, including ninth earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm
He
looking at that
also
now. Yeah.
moved up very nicely at Fontana. He moved up well at Gateway, moved up well at Nashville. So, there's kind of some momentum here for him. And yes, I'm sure a lot of people are going to go, "Hey, I'm going to play this guy because he
He's
won
hot.
last week and he's got a TV show." And
Not sexually hot, but he's hot from racing because he won last week. Yes.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
If it's like Martinsville, maybe his ass is hot because his ass got overheated at Martinsville.
I
Um, but yeah,
need a
I
little drum
mean,
roll.
if people just look back and go, "Well, why would I play a guy who hasn't finished better than 13th in the last 5 races except for Daytona's crapshoot?" Okay, you have a point, but I'm going based off of this guy is really good at Darlington.
I mean,
Like,
so, and 7,800 is not a bad price to pay for him. It's probably
right.
higher than it has been. Um, but I don't
He
know what
was, yeah. I mean, he got an
salary is in.
$800 bump since Daytona because he was 7 grand at Daytona.
Yeah, and then he was 6,500 at the. Well, that makes sense. 72, 73,
Now, I will say that
67, 7. This is the highest he's been.
Back in
This
May,
is
he was 8,500 at Darlington back in May.
Yeah, and this is the highest salary he's been since Darlington. Interesting.
Yeah, pretty much. The Coke 600, he was 8,200, but that's the
Oh,
benchmark.
yeah. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yep. Yeah. And then after that, it just went to the 6,900.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, he put up 41 points at Darlington. He started 14th and finished ninth.
All right. Okay. I'm sure he'll be in the playbook. Everyone read the playbook. Shout out to the playbook.
Yeah, he'll be there. I'm not going to talk him up this much and then leave him out of there. Um, so I guess
I
my
like it.
question is, at this point, who are you diving into?
Like low key or like the middle pack?
Kind of,
Those
I mean, a little bit of both.
All right, there's some okay, let's talk about the playoff drivers who are I mean, is Austin Dillon the lowest price playoff driver? Yes, he is. He is. So Austin Dillon is also the lowest price playoff driver. Daniel Suarez right above him at 8,000 is the second highest, and then Bowman, then Harvick. Suarez, everyone kind of forgot about him, right? He had a really good run earlier this year where he was just like crushing, and he just kind of had a downfall. Look, yeah, there's this run right there. Wow, ooh, wow, he had a really great run, and then he had some stinkers, and then I kind of like Suarez, this sticky GPP. I'm not quite sure what his history is besides May here, but as a playoff driver in that range of Austin Dillon, I kind of like, and plus his salary dropped really
Yeah.
crazy.
Now, I will say in the last 6 races, same subset we've been using, Suarez has been okay in terms of average finish at 17.8. However,
Okay.
the last 4 races, he's gotten better: 25th, 23rd,
Hey, there's a
13th,
trend.
and then 10th. So
Yeah,
that's the trend we want to hop on,
yeah.
not the trend from Bowman that goes in the opposite direction.
What's their like $200 apart, by the way? Bowman's 82 and he's 8,000. So
Right.
save the 200 and give Suarez a try this week at a playoffs. He's going to be racing because he's in probably the lower end of points, so he needs either a win or to get in on points. So he's going to be at 8,000. I think he's a must play GPP play. I'm getting more and more excited as we talk about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he was 7,800 back in May here. He started 20th and finished 10th with 5 fastest laps.
There you go.
So, and while everybody's focusing on his teammate and how many times he's going to get wrecked out in the playoffs, Suarez doesn't have beef with anybody. In fact, he's the most well-liked driver in the garage area, I think.
Don't you miss the last 2 years where you would just automatically play Suarez every week in your GPPs because he was $6,000?
Yeah, right? Look what some quality equipment does to his price tag.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um,
But yeah, that's kind of my guy there. Going lower, I have some guys that I like. I'm always a Todd Father fan. I know Dan is as well. Todd had a great finish here in May. Fourth lowest price at 5,300. Seems robbery to me,
he
Todd
was,
Father.
by the way, that same price back in May, and he put up 41 points.
Yeah, seems like he's going to be a high owned, low end guy. But you have to play him at that. If you want the Larson, if you want the Elliots, you got to put Todd Father in there at that price. And then I think you agree with that, right? That's a great sneaky. That's robbery. But I also like somebody who in May impressed well. That's Haley. He's a little bit more expensive at 62, but you could do a Haley and Gillian in your lineup and take 2 of those spots, and you have a lot to work with those final 4 spots in your DK lineups. That's kind of the approach I'll probably take on a lot of my lineups this weekend.
Yeah, and Haley broke out here in May and finished third. Kind of out of nowhere, but that car has been sneaky quick
Ah,
um, at certain times this season. So if you pick the right spot for him, you can get a pretty good outcome from him. It had okay speed at Nashville, not great. Got a top 14 at Gateway at $6,000. And then he ran well here, obviously started 29th, finished third, 2 fastest laps for 68 points at $5,900 back in May. And then Fontana, started 35th, finished 23rd, 31 points. He was 7,900
ooh, wow.
at that point, and then fell off a pretty steep cliff the following the
Yeah,
following week
I'd
down to
say
6,100.
that's great.
Um,
That's insane. I didn't even realize that. Wow.
but
And,
yeah,
and and put up 38 points that week too.
he had a run in there in like March where he just knocked off 4 straight top 17 finishes. Um, so
Wow.
he could be sneaky. If people are looking at recency, he hasn't been great at moving up substantially recently, but there hasn't necessarily been tracks that are colleagues' strong suit of late. So I would agree with that being a sneaky pick. Um, I think Eric Amarola is not getting a lot of attention.
That's cheap, man. I was just looking at that too. He wow, he's been going down his salary for a while, but that's
Yeah,
yep.
he's $6,400. Um, Here back in May, he was 7,500, finished 11th. So he started 12th, finished 11th. Not a ton of upside there, but 33 points. I mean, it's $6,400 if he puts up 33 points. You basically got 5x value out of him,
Yeah.
right? The
Mhm.
only reason he missed back in May was he's $7,500. So he's done quite well at these style of tracks this year. Fontana started 31st, finished 6th. He then moved up again at Vegas. This doesn't necessarily compare that well to Vegas, but he did move up there. He had a pretty good race here at in May, and then you get to, he held serve at Gateway, started 8th, finished 5th, 4 fastest laps. And then Nashville was kind of the only letdown there. Finished 17th after starting 11th. But, you know, it's kind of important to look at the guys that are not in the playoffs because a lot of people this time of year just focus on the drivers that are in the playoffs. And you're never going to be able to build a lineup
No,
with
yeah, no way.
just playoff guys, unless
Yeah.
maybe on FanDuel you can. But DraftKings you can't. So you're gonna have to get sneaky with who you're putting in here. Um, and Almirola has done pretty well here of late and moved up well at these style of tracks this year. So that's kind of a lower tier guy that I'm looking at.
Here
I
you
know
go.
it's
Here's another one right above him. I'm gonna do everybody a favor on this guy. I'm going to do all of you guys a favor listening right now, just for you. I am not going to play this guy this week in any lineup because when I don't play him, he puts up 50 plus. When I do play him, he wrecks and gets the hell out of there. I'm talking about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I'm not going to play him just for all of you because I am the anti-Ricky. When I play him, he crashes. When I don't, he puts up 50 and drives me crazy. So I'm not playing him just for you guys out there. So you take that as you would.
There you go. He did run well here in May, so I'm guessing Rouse didn't play him
I did
in
not know.
May. Started 26th, finished 8th. Pretty good day from Mr. Ricky. Um, did pretty well at Fontana too. Pulled out a top 10 at Fontana.
You're
So,
welcome, everybody.
it's not much to go on, but if we're talking about deep dives, we don't necessarily need much to go on. You kind of just um, play them and then cross your fingers that it pays off for you. So,
I know we're going a little long, but I want to ask you one more thing before we go, because now we got it. We're going long for everyone. But when the playoffs come, and you just made a really good point about, you can't get all the playoff drivers in a stack or anything like that. Is this a better time than it is early in the year to stack teammates that aren't in the playoffs with teammates that are in the playoffs because maybe they're working together to help that one player one racer, sorry, that's in the playoffs get further along? Is that a strategy you could use more in the playoffs than in May?
um, that's a very good question. I think it depends on the track. Because some tracks there's not a whole lot that guys can do to help out. Obviously, plate tracks are the number one where they can just team up and um, help each other. Like Talladega a few years ago when SHR just flat ran away with it. There was just the four of them out front, like in their own personal little race. Um, but at a track like Darlington, I mean, they could help, I guess.
Then again, looking at it, it seems like all the big teams, everybody on their team is in the playoffs except for Truex, who's priced high. So maybe that's not a good.
Yeah, my only
But you got the
hesitation
Harrison
is like,
Burtons out there, who's kind of a Penske. You got like the kind of um, those type of drivers. Keselowski, I don't know. It's just maybe not. I don't know.
well, my only hesitation is like at a track like Darlington. I'm not sure. Like, I guess you could hold somebody up, or you could try to pull a Denny at Gateway, right, and try to run Ross Chastain right off the track, and hold him up, and then tag team him with Chase Elliott, like it's WWE or something.
Your
Um,
turn.
but it's reasonable. I think the other way to look at that question is, does it make more sense? Because Dan always talks about leverage, right? He wants leverage over the field. So, does it make more sense to focus on the guys on teams that aren't in the playoffs or that are lower in the standings? Like circling back to Hendrick when we started. Like, if you want leverage on the field, Alex Bowman's to play
Correct. You
because
are
everybody's going to be
100%
on
right.
the other three guys who have
That's
shown
it.
way
Yep.
better speed,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So if you want leverage, it's
Austin
Bowman.
or in Penske it would be Cindric, right? Because everyone's gonna go Logano and Blaney, and everyone forgets about him kind of the same type of way for a
Probably
GPP.
Cindric won the Daytona 500 and then has kind of been so since. Like,
He's been pretty good lately, but that's
I
yeah.
mean, good lately, yes. He's gearing back into form. He did finish second on a road course, although that road course was crazy, and it's a road
Yeah,
course
yeah.
and Cindric.
He's also a good
Um,
road course driver. Yeah.
but I mean, he did do well at Nashville. He did run okay. Again, like Gateway was weird because he started up front and then led laps, and then pit strategy just didn't work for him there. He ran okay at Darlington earlier this year. Um, but like, yeah, I mean that's the way to think about it. Now, Penske might be a bad example this week because Blaney
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
at this track.
I'm
But
stacking the back of the playoffs qualifiers to see if I can put a lineup in right now.
there you go.
And
And by the way,
Briscoe.
I would stay away from Ross Chastain now that the playoffs have started.
Yeah, I haven't really been
He's
on.
just gonna get, as Kyle Larson put it, he's got a list 2 pages long of people that don't like him.
I'm gonna stack the back of the playoffs
And
qualifiers.
he's just been terrible of late. Like his last top 10 was July at New Hampshire, and since then his best finish is 18th at Richmond. So not great there, Chastain.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of off of him too lately. It seems like he's taken this whole thing. Either I'm a villain or I'm not, or whatever, and he's just been kind of not performing recently too. So I'm kind of off of him.
Yeah, I mean, and if you kind of look back at it, he's been up and down all season, like
Right.
all season. Like nobody really paid attention because we were all blinded by the um, great fit. Like back in March, it was great because it was 89 points, 65 points, 64 points, 75 points. Then he had a 17-point day, then 69, then 9, then 65, then 84, then 9, then 43, then 5, then 103, 45, 38, 45, 48. Like, you know what I mean? It's just been all over the place all season, and I don't think anybody really noticed until he just started wrecking out like the last 8 races. And now we're in the playoffs. Nobody's going to let him win a championship. Like, he's not making it out of the first round.
Okay. I I know we got to go, but you got to check this out. So I just stacked in DraftKings the bottom 6 playoff standing drivers: Austin Dillon, Alex Bowman, Austin Cindric, Suarez, Briscoe, and Kyle Busch, all in one lineup. Okay, $300 left over.
I don't mind it.
It fits too, which is
It
crazy.
does
Three
fit.
hundred
There
left
are
over.
clearly guys in that lineup that I'm not 100% sold on this week. Chase
Yeah.
Briscoe might be one of them.
Yeah, but that's your only chance of getting all playoff drivers in is that lineup right there, pretty much.
Probably.
Yeah.
He ran okay here earlier in the year, not great. Kyle Busch is sneaky good here this week, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of people are talking about him.
You know what? I just entered it for $15 in the engineer. There you go, just for fun.
Okay, well, have fun with that.
See, why not? See
I
what
think he's
happens.
just had too much bad luck this year that people are just, you know,
Stack the back of the playoff drivers.
there you
See what
go.
happens.
That's a strategy. I don't know if it's a good one. It is a strategy.
It's a strategy.
But I think that will do it for this week. So, um, recapping, you should go check out the starting grid. It's up on YouTube for free. It's also on FA, but it's definitely on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel. Those will come out weekly, either Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on how the schedule works and exactly the direction it goes for that week. Um, and then we'll have the Xfinity playbook will be out. Dan will be doing that. I'm not 100% sure exactly when it'll come out because it is a tight schedule for Xfinity this week. So my guess is it'll probably be out before practice and qualifying, and then he'll make adjustments. So you'll have to check back on Saturday. My Cup playbook will be out Saturday, following practice and qualifying. Hopefully, that that doesn't get rained out. The race is 6 p.m. Eastern Sunday night.
Yes, they have lights.
Yes, they do have lights. My Pickswise betting piece will be out on Friday. And then, we'll have Price Picks plays out on Sunday, example lineups Sunday. I will be in the Discord as much as I physically can be on Sunday. I know Sunday afternoon I have a family commitment for a couple hours. But other than that, we're rolling into the playoffs here. This is, and a note about bankroll. The contests are about to get much smaller because NFL starts, and
Mm-hmm.
NFL eats everything, right? So there's not going to be nearly as big of contest at this
And
point
this
this
will
season.
probably be your last chance at the engineer, the 100K. I think it drops down to like 50 next week, actually.
Yeah,
So
because this is the weekend before the NFL starts.
yeah,
Also, you know, wishing those a happy and safe Labor Day weekend for however you're going to celebrate that. But and then F1's this weekend again. It's a very early time over there at Zandvoort. So Friday morning there's practice, FP1, FP2, and then there's qualifying in FP3 on Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. There's supposed to be rain in that forecast as well, so that should be fun. Always great when an F1 qualifying happens in rain. Um, so I will have that playbook out Saturday as well. Um, and that should pretty well cover it. Any final thoughts there, Rouse? Don't play his lineup.
Yeah, don't do what I did. I just want to see what would happen, and I want to be able to see how it works. Yeah, I have other lineups in that same tournament as well, but it's all for fun. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be an interesting playoffs. They're closer in points than they have been in a while, between like 3 and all the way to almost
Yeah,
14. They're
second
really,
and 16th are separated by like 20 points or something.
yeah,
It's
everyone's still
be
in it.
made up in
Yeah.
one race. So
This isn't a year where we have a Michael McDowell, which everybody knows is not going to make the first 3 races. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. And what a time of year. You got NASCAR playoffs, you got NFL, you got college football, you got basketball starting up in a couple of weeks, you got NHL starting. You got the baseball playoffs coming. I mean, what an exciting year. I'm excited, and I hope everyone wins some money this weekend in Darlington.
yeah, and one last thing, we're gonna toss this bet out here. If you go to DK, you can still bet Cup futures, so for the championship. And Tyler Reddick is still going off at 15 to 1 to win. I'm not sure why. Not sure why that's the case.
Is he the
Um,
lowest?
no, he's not the lowest.
I'll say
Austin
Dillon.
Dillon is 80 to 1. Cindric is 70 to 1.
Okay.
Briscoe's 40 to 1, which seems a little high to me.
Yeah.
Bowman at 35. He shouldn't be there. Sorry. Um, but yeah, Tyler Reddick at 15 to 1 is interesting. So this is my pick at this point of the year
I like
to
that.
bet to win the championship. Here's why. He runs well at Darlington. Okay, he finished second here in May. Even if he doesn't, he did win the Bristol dirt race. Now it was a dirt race, but still same banking on that track, whatnot. He does run well at Kansas. So there are multiple opportunities for him in the first round. Texas is anybody's guess because I have no idea how that's going to race. Um, then you
Not
get
very fun.
Talladega, which is a wild card, and then you get a road course, which, by the way, Tyler Reddick's now won 2 road courses this year. Okay. Then in round 3, you get Vegas. He's okay there, but Homestead, he should absolutely be the favorite to win that race. The Dixie Vodka 400 in October at Homestead. That should be an absolute just melee of a race for him. And then he makes it to Phoenix, and who knows?
Yeah, Phoenix is kind of anyone's game too. Like once all you gotta do is be in the top 4 and get to Phoenix, and I
Right.
like it. Man, you know what? Put money on Tyler Reddick right now before you play my DraftKings lineup. I will tell you that right now. I like that. I did get Blaney in before he qualified for the playoffs too. I'm gonna go put some money on Reddick. Actually, I'm actually doing that as we
Yeah,
speak
by
right
the
now.
way, is Blaney actually shorter odds than
No,
Blaney is
higher
shorter
now.
odds than Tyler Reddick to win the championship.
Yeah,
Blaney is 10 to 1.
oh, I see. Yeah, I got him at 14 to 1.
Okay, that's still shorter than Reddick at 15 to 1.
I'm about to have Reddick at 15 to 1 too, right now,
Like,
and it's in.
I don't know. I think that's a misprice to me. But
I agree. I just did it. I'm with you, man. It's all on. It's on. I got it. Win me some money like you always do, man.
alrighty. Well, hopefully it hits. So, well,
Well,
with
well, if
that,
not, I hope it's Blaney then. How about that?
I swear to God, if this guy goes like on a Tony Stewart run in the playoffs, where Tony Stewart eked his way into the points, like the first year of the playoffs or something, and then won 5 of the 10 playoff races,
No,
that's
watch.
gonna be nuts.
Blaney's gonna not win a single race until Phoenix to win the championship. Watch.
He's gonna pull off a Daniel Hemrick, is what he's
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Hemrick
yeah,
did
yeah.
that in Xfinity last year. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? All right, man. Let's call it. I love it. Win some money, everybody. Thank you for having me on, man. I think I'm coming on in a few weeks as well. So
Yes.
I'll be along the ride with all you guys. So enjoy.
Yep. Good luck, FA Nation, and we'll see you in the green.